Let's freaking go! What a glorious night to be an LSU Tiger fan. I'm telling you what, today's video that we dropped a little bit earlier today might have been my favorite video we have done all off season. Taking a look at, to me, the hardest drive I think we have ever seen in the history of LSU football. So we're going to talk about Joe Burrow versus Cam Newton. This conversation is back up against, but to start tonight's live stream, I want to talk about Brian Kelly's toughest game. Is it actually Florida State this season? It should be noted that right now, LSU is favored versus Florida State by a point. So this game, of course, is going to be a neutral site game. Of course, there are going to be potential other neutral site games, hopefully, for LSU going into next year, the SEC championship game, and of course, the college football playoff. Let me know in the chat, or if you're watching this down the road, do you actually believe Florida State is the toughest game on LSU's schedule? Now, if you're watching this not live right now or at a later date, you notice I have been putting chapters, these live streams go on, and we want to make sure it's easier for you to watch. So if you are watching this after the fact, we're putting chapters at the bottom of each and every live stream. So I have got to be honest with you. There are so many different games to choose from as far as being the best game on LSU's schedule. You could make a case for Ole Miss. You could make a case because that is a road game and we don't get a bye week. I always think the LSU versus Alabama game is actually a little bit easier for the players than, let's say, a true road game versus Ole Miss, because the Alabama game is why you go to LSU and you know you have a bye week before that game. And whether or not players want to admit it, you're always looking ahead on the schedule for the Alabama game because, well, it's Alabama. It's the dragon that you want to slay each and every season. So obviously, I do think as of right now, the toughest game on the LSU schedule is Florida State. I really do mean it. So let me know. And look, Brian Kelly, it's going to be a little bit of a mental hurdle for him on this Florida State game for this reason. He was uncharacteristically just not good as a coach in that game. And as you guys saw as the season moved on, he outcoached a lot of really good coaches, including the great Nick Saban. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is very interesting. Jacob is watching this while his dear beloved is getting ready to give birth. Let's go, Jacob. Congrats on everything. As far as I was about to say something else, but congrats on that too. That's awesome. That's good. And as we know, we always shout out the super dads of PHL. That is absolutely awesome. Jaden Daniels, a top 3 rushing quarterback. I'll just say he is the best rushing quarterback in all of college football. And I think his throwing is going to get better next season. We say hi to Tyler. We say hi to Skipper. We say hi to Chance. I really appreciate the love you've been showing me lately. And the mail you've been sending me lately. I really do appreciate that. Now, there are some other topics. Obviously, a lot of recruiting stuff is going on right now for LSU. And look, that's obviously dandy. I like LSU recruiting as much as you guys probably do. It may not be your absolute favorite thing, but I'm going to be honest, it's what generates the most interest when it comes to LSU. So, we were able to confirm actually a pretty big guest coming up on PHL. And it is important to remind you guys that there will be no live stream on Thursday night. Let me repeat, there will be no live stream on Thursday night. We might have a video that night, though. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and get everything done before I fly out for what's going to be an absolutely crazy 48 hours for me. I'm flying up north. It's going to be cool. Hopefully, we'll be able to shoot some content. So, really looking forward to that. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to get to do some really cool things. If we get past Florida State, we have a good chance of running their table. Remember that BK beat FSU by 1 the year before he came to LSU? Absolutely. And not only did he beat him at Florida State. That was a true road game with some shaky quarterback playing some shaky defense as well. So there you go. Yes, Jacob, please post in the Discord when it's all said and done. And big congrats to another Jacob. So we have not one, but two Jacob PHLers that popped out some baby girls. There you go. Nothing like it. You have a heck of a first name too. And look, when it comes to Jacob, there are a ton of famous LSU Jacobs. Okay. Plenty to go around. Go hard, go home. 103 days till LSU FSU kickoff. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely in freaking sane. So there you have it. Now, a few other things I want to get to here at the beginning. All right. Feel free to fire in any questions. And as always, if you have a super chat, we always go straight to it. Any topic under the sun you want to talk about, LSU football related, we go straight to it. Now, pretty interesting stuff. I've been looking at so much stuff regarding LSU football. It's honestly just stuff. Some of it is third down conversion data, but what was very interesting to me, so I released a video on Power Hour SEC today as well, when it comes to the teams that were the best on fourth down. So on Sunday night's live stream and yesterday with Blake, we talked about the teams that were the best on third down, and I shared that LSU has been some of the best on third down. We got a huge study on that coming up. We're going to show you some film on what I liked, what Brian Kelly did on third down. Some of it is actually pretty groundbreaking and innovative stuff that I think other teams are going to emulate. And it's honestly relatively simple, and I think more teams should do it. But as we mentioned in the Joe Burrow film study earlier tonight, there was a play that Joe Burrow made in the Auburn game that reminded me a lot of Jaden Daniels. And we're going to talk about that coming up in the third down film study. So I truly do believe that LSU, with some good luck next year, I think this offense could hit another gear, right? Everybody's back outside of Kayshawn and Dre, right? Obviously, Jack transferred, and Anthony Bradford was a really good player for us. But honestly, everybody's back, and this should be a really good offense. And last year, ironically, there was a lot of aspects of the LSU offense where they were really good, right? Brian Kelly was amongst the SEC's leaders when it comes to making correct fourth down decisions. And that's according to Jared D. Lee's win probability model. And the one fourth down decision that he made at the end of the Arkansas game, where the analytics actually told him to go for it, he actually explained in the post-game press conference of that game that he went against his analytic book. And the reason why he did is because Harold Perkins was having such a good game that he wanted the game to be decided on defense. And I agreed with that decision. Normally, I don't. Normally, if it's 4th and 1, you go for it. That was actually a decision that I probably would have made as well, even though the analytics overwhelmingly said for Brian Kelly to go for it. But look, this is going to be an absolutely crazy year next year. We got a great coach. We return all the coordinators outside of the special teams coordinator, which I think a lot of you agree needed. There needed to be some transition there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We are so close to the opening kickoff, LSU versus Florida State. I know it doesn't seem close, but it'll get here before you know it. Something else is and look, I had a lot of you on Sunday ask if we can start posting some vintage LSU content, some where are they now kind of stuff, some film study kind of stuff. Look, I understand we were in the dead of the off season, right? I get it. It stinks. It sucks. Any adjective you want to describe, that is where we are right now in the off season. So a few of you asked to do some throwback stuff. Look, the only way I could do it, and throwback content is hard because you got to go back. Especially me, I want to rewatch all the games and find stuff that I think you guys would be interested in. I go look at the analytics, and if I just put together a recruiting video, it 10x's everything throwback. So I posted a throwback video, obviously the greatest drive in LSU history. And I spent 2 days on it, and honestly, months leading up to the video because, I've been asking people, what is the best drive in LSU history? So I've gotten a few requests to do those kinds of videos. I'm going to experiment and do it a little bit differently moving forward, but I'm posting Joe Burrow film studies. I'm going to post some Matt Flynn film studies, some Paraloo stuff. I had a request earlier to do the earthquake game. For me to keep doing this, you guys have got to watch it. That's the only way for me to do it. If not, I'm just going to keep doing current stuff. And I've gotten a few comments for you guys. Hey, let's do more throwback stuff. Let's throw it back. Let's look back. But the truth is, what the analytics tell me is to keep doing videos on the current stuff. So we got a current film study coming up pretty soon. Once again, as we just mentioned, on Jaden Daniels. So let me know what you guys want to watch, and for me to do, if you want a Matt Flynn film study, if you want any of that kind of stuff, now you got to watch it, you got to share it. Okay, post it on any Facebook groups, message boards, Tiger droppings. I'm not above any of it. You post it. Feel free to share it. Share it with the person that you hate the most or you like the most. Share it with whoever. Okay. So Jordan wants to talk some Laterrance Welch. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. I love doing deep cut breakdowns like LTW. Should be a very opportunistic year for him, Jordan. Look, I'll say it once. I'll say it again about Laterrance. He has to keep pushing the envelope as far as his play is concerned, right? We saw in the spring game where he was the most dominant corner in the game. The only thing we want to see now is him do this versus real SEC starters, and he's going to get a chance. He's going to get a chance. It might not be in the very first game versus Florida State, but I will say behind closed doors, I would just bring up, hey, how is he doing versus BTJ? How is he doing versus Malik? How is he doing against some of the first teamers? The second teamers, though, we want to see you dominate the second teamers, and he did just that. He put the clamps on Chris Hilton. He put the clamps on some other second team receivers, and that's obviously a huge step forward in the right direction, especially for a lot of you from Lafayette, right? It's been a tough offseason for some Lafayette fans, right? A lot of you were big Jack Besh fans. A lot of you were big Walker Howard fans. I read your comments. I read all your DMs. I may not get to all of them, but I read them. It's tough. It was a tough offseason for our, Raging Cajun Nation viewers. So yeah, it's always a weird thing, but look, Welsh has got to hold it down, right? LSU would love to see something maybe from a Jordan Allen this offseason where you're able to get another safety that you can plug and play right away and give you some big time snaps. So look, I got to keep it a buck with you, Jordan. Laterrance Welch, he got some special teams reps last year, which was good for him to get his feet wet after these high school seasons that he had that featured a ton of injuries. Now he's going to get a big opportunity to take the games that he's had up to this point in the spring game and all the practice scrimmages and all that stuff, put it all together, take it to the next level. Let's do it. LTW, the number 27. Let's go. That's Trey White's jersey number in the NFL. Let's do it. Let's go. Tony, what's good, my brother? Jared, what's good, my brother? Good to see you. Feeling great tonight, guys. I'm feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. Getting on an airplane for the first time, I believe, since SEC championship game. So there you go. Now, I saw someone comment a minute ago. I think it was Chance who said something along the lines of the Georgia Bulldogs and the speeding. Okay. Yeah. Obviously it's crazy. They had another player, another starter, get arrested for speeding. Right. It's wild. It's absolutely wild that happened again. I'll touch on it a little bit more later. I'll stick with LSU for now, but I don't know. I don't know what you can do about that if you're Kirby. I think the only thing he can do, even though this is one of their better receivers returning, Jackson Rosemy Jack Saint, or Rosemy Jack Saint, or I forget his name. I think Kirby's gonna have to kick him off. I really do think so. I'm not. You guys know me. I'm second chance guy, but I am for certain that Kirby told his team after the horrific tragedy that happened, hey, you can't do this anymore. Don't speed. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's absolutely crazy. So, there you go. I am going to Ohio, so it should be a fun trip. I leave and I come back on Friday. It should be a lot of fun. The funny thing, Tyler, I lived in Cincinnati when I was an infant. But yeah, hopefully, I'll be able to set up and do some kind of content. I don't like taking days off. I don't like taking vacations or anything like that. You guys know on my engagement trip to London, we did videos from there. So this is all I do, right? So yeah, be on the lookout for, the schedule is going to be crazy. I won't be getting to the hotel till like midnight. So we'll see. Congratulations. Yeah, look, if type Y for yes, type N for no. Are you a girl dad? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Are you a girl dad? Okay. I want Jacob to feel welcome with the fellow girl dads. Okay. What's up, Kedrick? There you go. One of our biggest super chatter supporters. I really appreciate it. What's up, Pressure? Good to see you. 3-time girl dad. That's good. That's good, man. It's good. And look, obviously, when Kobe transitioned, he made it really cool to be a girl dad. And it was cool to be a girl dad before that. But I thought that was pretty big for society. I really do think so. And I'm very happy for you. Very, very, very happy for you. John, 4 girls. Good to see you. Jacob. Oh, okay. Go harder, go home, says 2 boys. There you go. But as we always say, super dads of PHL. You are what make our society better. Okay. Super moms, same thing for you. All right. Super dads and super moms of PHL. Y'all hold it down. But this is a college football channel. Most of my viewers, of course, are men. So super dads, take care of business. Okay. 4 girls. John, I appreciate you. You comment on basically every video I do. Thank you so much. Now, what are we giving away tonight? See, I gave one of these Senior Bowl passes out. We're gonna give out one of these tonight. Dominic Davis, Allie Highsmith, Chase Pittman. Who remembers Chase Pittman? Got a Brandon Taylor one. And a Donnie Jones. How about that? He had a long NFL career. We'll give that out. If we had 100 in Super Chats tonight, we'll give all that out. Now, we are 20 minutes into it. We got 52 viewers. I really appreciate it. I want to, at the same time, acknowledge LSU baseball tomorrow morning at 9:30. That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. And I know a few of you have strong thoughts on the SEC tournament. Should it be in Hoover? It rains all the time. I love that the tournament's in Hoover. I do. Okay. The less we professionalize college sports, the better. The more events that happen in non-MLB stadiums or non-super big stadiums, and you hit these markets that are SEC markets, but there's not an SEC or professional team there, it's a really good thing. So, if it's not in Hoover, bring it to New Orleans. We'll take it. There you go. What card? I sent you one. Did you not get it? Well, hit me up after. I'll send you another one. Pressure. I'll send you as many as you want, man. First 3 game todays have been shutouts in Hoover. So neither team scored. That's crazy. But I know we play South Carolina tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Okay. Let's see. I'm not as good as Pressure on Twitter.com. I'm just not. But I do want to share a few things. All right. Does anybody remember this run right here? Okay, let me post this up. Who remembers this before we get to that? Let's go to Alan. Hey, Carter, what do you think? When do you think we'll get my official SEC predictions? That's a good question, Alan. So here's what's great, Alan. I have a separate SEC channel, Power Hour SEC. Go subscribe there. Where I talk about all the other SEC teams. I dropped a big video today on that channel. But yeah, at some point on this live stream, we will give you my full SEC predictions. Okay. What I would tell you, Alan, as far as this next season is concerned, is, the over-under win total stuff. I'm going to take it a little bit more seriously than I did last year because I got all the picks right. All the picks that I actually publicly said you should go make as far as win totals are concerned actually hit. I went 7 for 7. I've never done that before. I want to do it again. All right. Now, once again, that's going to be really hard to do because there's so much luck that goes into, a half a game, if you will. So, yeah, it should be soon, and especially if you super chat, Alan, I'll get it out as soon as I possibly can. But obviously, with the portal and people getting some late additions here, that's obviously going to change a lot. And it'll probably be a little bit closer to season. There are some over-unders I do like kind of early. One that I think is very interesting is Texas A&M's. Right, their over/under right now sits at 7.5, and as much as I do not like Jimbo Fisher, there's a piece of me that says that the over is going to hit there, and they will be an 8-4 team next year. Let's go to Sibley. I had a great phone conversation with you and someone else that was really cool. That was great. That was absolutely great. So hopefully we're able to work that out, Sibley. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you can't, give me a call after the live stream. I enjoyed the film study on Burrow. Do you think that Joe went in zone in the first game and never came out? I think he threw 3 INTs the entire season. Yeah, I I think so too. I think his final interception total was 5. Obviously, the 65 touchdowns is a record. And yeah, that's what made the film study so crazy earlier. The only team that gave the LSU offense any issues was the Auburn Tigers. That's it. They're the only team to hold us to under 6 yards per play, and they played more plays than anybody else. So, I use yard per play numbers over total yards and points and all of that because there's a different amount of plays for different games. So, for instance, the Florida game was probably our most underrated, dominant offensive performance. We only put up 42 points, but we averaged, I believe, 10 yards per play or 12 yards per play, either one of those. Florida was only on defense for 49 plays. Okay. So that means we hit them with a ton of explosives. All right. And they just couldn't stop us. It was just that their offense was able to go on long drives, and their offense had a good game as well until Aranda makes some really good halftime adjustments. So Auburn played 88 plays, so nearly double that, and they still held us to under 6. So yeah, I mean, that game was such a dogfight. It really was. They they really pushed us to the limit, and I think that was Joe's most underrated game, the Auburn game. It was his lowest Power 5 QBR, but I think that was one of his better games on the season because he got hit in the head really hard in that game a lot early. That's why I did the film study, because it's hard to perform when you get hit in the temple at the most cerebral position in all of sports. And he went on to make correct decisions the rest of the drive. And it's interesting if you actually go look at the film study and you actually go listen to Joe Burrow in the post-game press conference. That's why in the film study, I included Joe Burrow press conference clips talking about their mentality in the Auburn game. And another thing about that film study that's very interesting is we didn't get into Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how big he was in the second half of that game. Now, Sibley, you are a patron, so we did release a 15-minute Patreon or 8-minute Patreon clip today on some all 22 from the Auburn game, and I broke down a few things from that game that were very interesting. And yeah, you really begin to see a lot of things from that Auburn game that makes you go, wow, thank God for Grant Delpit. Thank God for Dave Aranda. And also something else about why Joe was so big in that Auburn game was that was by far our worst special teams game of the season as well. We missed an extra point. We had a lot of penalties. We dropped a punt. The final punt, Rosenberg, it was actually a low snap that he barely got off. That would have obviously changed the game. And then the very final, onside kick recovery, Derek Dillon saved the day. They had a really good onside kick scheme, and Dillon, ran down the play and made the game-saving play. We don't know what happens after that. Stingley was out, Delpit was out. They would have had the football in plus territory with a good field goal kicker, only down by 3. So Joe really pushing us through that game where the protection just kept breaking down over and over and over again is legendary. It's seared in my mind because like Clemson had some good pass rush versus us. Georgia did, Clemson did, and he was able to get out of it. But the one thing about Auburn's pass rush is they were bull rushing us, and the hardest thing to do when a bull rush is coming is it's hard because you got to dodge 2 people. You got to dodge your own guy in front of you, and you got to dodge the guy who's pushing the person behind you. So yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy that Joe was able to find a way to get it done. And obviously it wasn't just Joe. Jamar, Justin, Terrace, Thad were all great in that game. And obviously Clyde, and the offensive line was good too. I mean, Auburn's defensive line is great. So yeah, I mean, you tip your hat. And here's the thing, Sibley. Kevin Steele's not the most popular person on here. He obviously has LSU ties. Steele is back in the SEC. I think he's really good. I really do. He's really good at mixing things up. He's back, and he's with Alabama. So we'll see. Everybody, welcome Philip Knobloch to the channel. Y'all throw some clap emojis in for Philip. TJ will keep what's personal, unless you want me to bring it up. You are my guy. I mean, PHO wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for you. It's good to have you back, man. All the traveling and stuff. And by the way, TJ's fine. Okay, I don't want you. That sounded like very deep, but you've been through it, man. Just know everybody in PHL Nation is behind you. So there you go. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy, man. So I bring that up, and I'm glad Sibley super chatted that. And I want to go to Philip's question next, because I always like to answer first timer questions. And I kind of want to give Alan an over under that I am liking for right now. Okay. I want to bring up something really quickly about the Joe Burrow versus Cam Newton debate. Okay. Just one thing very quickly. All right. It is without reasonable doubt. And this is one argument that, and everyone saw the viral thing where ESPN listed their best college quarterbacks ever. And number one was Baker Mayfield. Number two was, I think, Cam Newton. Number three, Tebow. Someone else was number four. And Joe Burrow was number five. Okay. No need to get enraged about that. Obviously, we all have biased opinions towards our guy. And look, this has been a big debate, right? Who is the best college quarterback of the modern era? I think Joe Burrow is hard to compare to someone like Baker Mayfield, because Baker had the better 4-year career, right? He's got a lot of records, and he's great, right? He's absolutely great. No, you can't take anything away from what Baker Mayfield did. Okay. Tim Tebow had a great career. He had more longevity as a career than anyone else. Okay. But the one thing that always gets me about the Joe Burrow versus Cam Newton debate, because I do think the single season, if you were to ask a group of just 10 neutral college football fans or 10 national college football writers, who had the two best seasons, most of them would pick Joe Burrow and Cam Newton. I think most of you would pick Joe Burrow and Cam Newton. All right. We were on the good side of one of those guys. We're on the bad side. And look, I know a lot of you don't like Cam Newton as well, because he played for the Panthers. So he really hurt a lot of those Drew Brees Saints teams during that time. Okay. So look, taking all of that aside, if you were to do the Joe Burrow versus Cam Newton thing, okay, and Philip, I promise I'm going to get to your question. The one argument that Joe just will never be able to overcome versus Cam is the supporting cast argument, right? Joe had better everything. The only thing you can argue is maybe play caller, maybe, but that's probably not true either. Cam Newton only had one member of his team that went on to play a professional snap. Okay. Let me repeat that. Cam Newton only had one member of his offense that went on to play a professional snap of football. So he carried that team to an undefeated record in the SEC. He beat the Patrick Peterson LSU team that was very good. That 2010 team was very good. And so look, Cam's great. The Cam back versus Alabama, all that stuff, great. And previous to Joe Burrow, he was individually the best player. Now, part of why the Joe Burrow film study versus Auburn is so key, the one I released earlier today, is that when Joe Burrow and Cam Newton get compared, people treat Joe's supporting cast as if he didn't carry the team, and he did. There were a lot of instances and a lot of games and a lot of plays where if Joe Burrow wasn't the quarterback, nobody else would have been able to make those plays, right? The Auburn drive film study is a great example. I don't remember a drive where a quarterback took not one but two headshots early in the drive, completed two third downs, both of which he had to use his legs to make it work. And there was no running game. It was a 10-play, 89-yard drive that ended up being a 9-play, 98-yard drive because of the sack on first down. Joe carried us. And look, there were times where Jamar carried us. There were times when Clyde carried us and Justin. But what happens in the Joe and Cam debate that I see happen all the time is people simply want to say Cam carried Auburn, which is true. But this wasn't a case where Joe was just throwing to wide open guys all the time. The Clemson game, our pass protection struggled picking up Venables' blitz schemes because Brent Venables was one of the best defensive coordinators to ever exist in the world of college football. There was a lot of games where Joe had to sidestep pressure and put balls into tight windows and check things at the line and QB draw here. It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just the play design. It wasn't just any of that. He did a lot of carrying for us. So it's that simple. Also, Auburn defense was really good. Auburn had really good special teams. We had a very good defense. We had really good special teams. So, look, say what you want about the Burrow and Cam debate. The one thing that I will always hammer on the table for Joe objectively is he carried us in big spots. So that's all there is to it. All right. Yeah, 24-17. I was at that game. That was a tough game. We're in it. Cam ran for 200 on us. That was just insane. Absolutely insane. So there you go. Now, I want to always make first timers feel welcome. Let's go to Phillips. What freshman has a chance to start? Start is always a very strong word because it's hard to start as a true freshman. One thing I think that's very important, Philip, is like you look at, LSU last year, we had 4 true freshmen end up being starters. It's a little unusual, especially for an SEC West championship team. And there were some instances where the true freshmen they had some regression towards the end of the season. Some of that is fatigue. Some of that is just a lot on their plate. But they're all really good football players. They're all really special football players, okay? 3 were top 150 recruits, and the other, Maason Taylor, came from really good high school and obviously very good genetics. Those 4 put in a lot of work. They were really good for us last year. Now those 4 guys are coming back. So it's hard to fill those slots, right, with true freshmen. It's harder for true freshmen to play when we have more returning, right? I think Lance Hurd obviously is one that we're big fans of. He's jumped on the channel before. He likes us over here. That's obviously really cool. I think Jamie Toviano is another that has a really good shot in a secondary that has a lot of transition going on right now. One guy that I think is a deeper cut. I really like Kylan Jackson coming out. I really, really did. When I was evaluating him, I only really had one game where it got a little rough for him at the high school level. But there was a lot of times when, I was watching him where it looked like he was the best player on the field. And that's pretty good because Zachary was a team that had an edge guy go to Auburn. They had a quarterback go to Alabama. Those teams are always loaded, right? So I like Kylan a lot. It might be a little bit more, year 2 than year 1. So, yeah, I think those guys have a really good shot. And I also think, even though wide receiver is kind of log jammed, Cal Parker and Shelton Sampson both had big grades for me. And Pimpton's got a good shot. Tight end is wide open behind Maason Taylor. McGohan and Markway have good shots as well. So I love it. Absolutely love it. Jordan wants to talk some Greg Brooks. Let's talk some Greg Brooks. Super Gremlin season. Let's go. Huh? GB5. Why did I call him GB5? I'm so close to, I'm always used to doing JD5. But GB3. Greg Brooks has got a big season ahead of him. He was caught on a mic'd up segment saying he is aiming to win the Thorpe. Obviously, there have been a lot of guys at LSU that have won the Thorpe. A lot. Okay. Let's see. Obviously, Mo. Obviously, Pat Pete. And Tyron won the Benark and Grand Delpit. So, it's obviously big words. Does Greg Brooks have it in him? I think so, right? Half of winning the Thorpe sometimes is the brand. Because what's very interesting, Jordan, and this is my biggest complaint when it comes to how we consume college football, you can't really appreciate safeties because the televisions won't show them, right? The camera angles are too tight, all right? It's hard to get your hands on all 22 film for you to really understand what safeties have to go through. Now, this is what's going to be interesting. I think LSU, as far as Greg Brooks is concerned, I think they're going to want him early on to play deep, right? And there were instances where his deep safety play got a little patchy, right? He got beat on a double move versus Ole Miss that Jackson Dart overthrew. So yeah, there were some coverage reps where, Greg, you would have liked to have seen it be a little bit cleaner, but he's very experienced. He has seen every offense you possibly can see in the SEC going back to his Arkansas days. He's from New Orleans, baby. Can't beat that. Can't beat the 504, baby. Let's do it. Let's go, Greg. So I'm really excited about Greg. I really am. And then obviously, talked about those guys a good bit tonight. There you go. This has to be top 10 image of this. This is no context college football written all over it. Okay? Absolutely crazy. All right. Now, I teased a little bit earlier. This might get me demonetized. That's okay. This is for good juju tomorrow for the South Carolina game. This run.
Two family, mom and dad both attended school here. On the handoff, nowhere to go for Geis, and then he escapes miraculously. Whoa, bobbing and weaving. He got his full swerve on. Geis!
That's crazy. That run right there. Goodness gracious. Like, I don't know what it is about South Carolina. We've had some of the most iconic runs. Obviously, that was Jeremy Hill's coming out party. Colt David's run is so good. And obviously, Leonard Fournette earlier in that game not only ran all over South Carolina, he donated his jersey for hurricane relief. Very nice gesture from LF7. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So, South Carolina tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. I know nothing about South Carolina baseball, so I just know they've won a lot of national championships. Ray Tanner, you guys know, well, some of you know, South Carolina has got a legacy in college baseball. So hopefully we beat them tomorrow morning. But yeah, the fall enrollees have moved in, and it should be interesting. Bama. Oh, we're chatting Texas, Bama. All right, Sibley is in here, and obviously, as hard as it's going to be, we are going to be rooting for Texas. Now, from our vantage point, we want Texas to win that game, right? Because any loss to Bama is a potential win for us when it comes to potential college football playoff seeding, right? Won't be as big of a deal in a 12-team format, but in a 4-teamer, it's big, right? It might just be me, and it's not anti-Texas slander. I will admit when a team I don't like has a good quarterback, right? As you guys know, I love me some Bryce Young. I don't think Quinn Ewers is going to be the guy. I don't. I think they moved to Malik Murphy. I really do think so. And look, when I watch Quinn Ewers, it could just be, once again, I've never really charted him. I've never really, done like a deep film study on him or anything like that. I just think he misses a lot of throws. And look, I think a lot of you with Steve Sarkisian's play calling and Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson, I think a lot of you would be able to run that offense. Just saying. Huh? Bama needs to beat Texas. Yeah, and they do it for the playoff games. LA Mom says, book them. That is true. Pressure, it is interesting, right? Maybe we don't want Texas gaining momentum. But then again, I don't know. Obviously, you're familiar with Texas's recruitment. I don't know. We do good in Texas for the most part, right? What we ended up getting 2 top 150 guys from Texas in this last class, and a very underrated guy in Kyle Parker. So yeah. And speaking of Toviano, I will say, I think one thing that was really good for him early in his career was he went up against Quinn Ewers as a sophomore. So, when you get to have these games as a high school player with all the pressure and fans where you're going up against a guy, like obviously Quinn Ewers is at the minimum going to make an NFL minicamp. To go up against pro players in high school, it's a difference maker for a lot of guys. So there you go. Now, there you go. Pressure. Let's go. Okay. Let's do true or false here. LSU prediction season. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Maason Taylor finishes the season with more catches than Brian Thomas Jr. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Maason finishes the season with more catches than BTJ. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know. Okay? I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about that. Okay. Dan Girl, good to see you. Ellie Mom, good to see you. It's close. Gonna go against the grain and say no. So here are the final reception numbers from last season. Hey, zoom in a little bit more. How about that? Mason Taylor had the third most receptions. Okay. Now, I do think just, anecdotally, a little anecdotally and just from my vantage point, I think out of any of the LSU receivers last year that Jaden missed the most, where it was more Jaden's fault than anything else, it was BTJ. Now, BTJ did have drop issues, and there were some drops mixed in there as well. Kayshawn had drops, and Maason had drops last year. Also, keep in mind, okay, one thing about Brian Thomas Jr. that he did not get enough credit for is he drew a lot of pass interference penalties. So he drew that big one versus Ole Miss early in the game, and he had a few others, and he got very unlucky on a near ridiculous catch versus Florida. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. So Maason cleared BTJ by 7. Obviously, Maason didn't have as much competition as Brian Thomas Jr. did as far as snap count is concerned. But yeah, I'm going to lean Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to lean BTJ. I'm hyping up the BTJ train here. So there you go. Now, type L for Logan Diggs, type J for Josh Williams. Who finishes next season with more rushing yards? Type L for Logan Diggs, type J for Josh Williams. Take a look at the rushing yard numbers from last season. Obviously, Jaden cleared everybody, which is good. Jaden was a really good runner for us last year. Logan Diggs, Josh Williams still having some believers in here. That's obviously good. LA Mom, big Logan Diggs fan. Richard holding it down on Facebook. Let's go. I forgot to share the stream to my Facebook page. Graylin, good to see you. One of our many. PHL. Oh, TJ, it's good. That's good. Oh, pressure. Look, Noah Kane watching this is probably feeling some type of way about this. Noah Kane's probably saying, look, I had the same average yards per rush. I had 4 more touchdowns. So if you give me more touches, maybe, just maybe, I can outperform Josh Williams next year. And by the way, Noah Kane got a lot of reps during the spring. So, Noah Kane's probably like, hey, look, give me some love here. Now, here's what I'd say about Noah Kane. Longest run of the season came in that beatdown of New Mexico. So, once again, level of competition there. But Noah was really good last year for us. He had that run at the end of the Arkansas game that almost sealed it for us. That was pretty freaking incredible. And he got better as the season moved on. So I like Noah a lot as well. He's got some people on this channel that have shown me some love and have said, hey, you do not talk about Noah Kane enough. I think one of his inner circle members is a chef. So I love it. Cole said, look, Mason Taylor's going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. One thing I like about BTJ and Maason is their football IQ is a gazillion. Okay. They really know how to do the little things well. And BTJ in particular became such a good blocker last season. So there you go. It's obviously pretty freaking awesome. God, this live stream, you guys have been on point today. I got to be honest. I thought I was the one that looked at this stuff every day. You guys bring it every live stream, but for some reason, you guys are just bringing extra heat tonight. It's a Tuesday. It's a school night. I mean, there's graduation ceremonies going on nationwide, NBA playoffs going on, all kinds of stuff going on. The Alabama Rush documentary was released today. There's a lot of things competing for your attention. A lot of you are going through it. A lot of you have been battling some health issues, and you fight through it, and you show up here. I freaking love it. It's baseball season right now. You're focused on South Carolina. A lot of you are really still sour about that travesty at the end of the UL softball game. There's a lot. But you guys are bringing the mother effing heat. I'm saying it's crazy. Like I feel like I'm just a random pigeon flying on a baseball diamond, and you're hitting me with the Randy Johnson fastball. I mean, just straight heat, straight freaking heat. There you go, Sibley. John believes rotation this year, wide receiver is going to be deep. Very interesting. That's something that, John, we've discussed quite a bit, and you guys have had a lot of complaints about it. Ever since 2019 LSU, the wide receiver rotation is very deep. I felt like last year was a little bit tighter than what it was in 2021, where if you're a wide receiver and you breathed, you got reps. But yeah. Brian, I think, as far as the LSU secondary is concerned, the biggest concern for me, Brian, okay, and this is going to sound bad, but this is just the God's honest truth here. There's going to be a lot of throws that Jordan Travis has in this game where there's nothing you could do about it because he is very good. So he is on a high tier of college football quarterbacks that we will have had to have played twice. Okay. And look, there are some legendary quarterbacks that LSU in the past has just dominated, right? Like, Manziel, we were very good against. Tebow, we were very good against. Had to go against them 3 times, and we were really good in 2 of them. Obviously, the famous Lamar Jackson game. And look, it's because we got the athletes. But the one thing you can look to at all those games is we were able to generate pressure. And when you could generate pressure, you can do so many exotic things. And as great as Jordan Travis was, even under pressure, even when he got sleepy hollowed by Ali Gay, he threw dots. So there's going to be some games where he is just going to be on. And hopefully it's not like last year and it's one of those games. Now, to the contrary, we were not good on 3rd and long. We just weren't. We've got to get off the field. There was a lot of 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s they were able to convert. And nationally in all of college football, those percentages on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9s are in the 20-30 range, and they were completing a lot of them. So we got to get off the field on 3rd down. But the X factor here is Harold Perkins. There's not a single person that Jordan Travis went up against last year that is like Harold Perkins. Not a single one. The closest is Jared Verse on his team. Okay, there's not anybody. Now, there's great players. He went up against Miles Murphy and Brian Breesy. Obviously, Breesy, is going to be a Saint next year. So he went up against some good pass rushers, right? NC State had some good guys, so on and so on. But there's only one Harold Perkins, and he's hungry. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, Richard. Richard Head. Always an interesting name. That is an interesting name. It's how you got here, right? We go to pressure. What's good? What's good? Tuscaloosa's great. I'll say it. For the football game itself. The campus is great too. Campus is great too. Notice what I called you, right? I only did that because he's in here as well. Pooh Bear, I really appreciate it. Wasn't that interesting? The 21.4 mile per hour. That's really cool. It's a little inside joke for me and you. Really excited. Keep me updated on everything. Yeah, we lucky to get to do this full time, but you and I want you to keep me updated every step of the way. Okay? The boot. You have to make sure we have to get push at center. Travis, leave no gaps. Couldn't stomach Bama rush. I've got a funny story that I want to share on one trip with when I went to Alabama. And I shared one a few weeks ago about the marriage, right? But honestly, I've had good times in Tuscaloosa. Went to the Patrick Peterson game, and then obviously, it's funny you mentioned the Patrick Peterson game. Everybody remembers that. And I was there for November 5th. Jared's been 3 times. Auburn is a pain to get to. I don't think I would do Jordan Hare again because it is a little tricky. It is a little tricky. Closer we get, the more I realize people forget who Maason Smith is. He was Perkins the year before Perkins. Yeah, he was pretty good. I don't know if he was like Harold Perkins level because I don't know many true freshmen that have ever had the defensive season that Harold Perkins had. I mean, it really was good, but Maason is definitely one of the best true freshman defensive tackles we've ever had at LSU. Jaquelin had a pretty solid true freshman season. There's a lot of guys that had solid true freshman seasons, but Maason is up there for defensive tackles. But man, Harold Perkins, it is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I can't wait. Can't freaking wait. Can't wait for both of them to be on the field at the same time because they never truly have been. Actually, they never have been for a defensive rep. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. Okay? Because your boy is flying tomorrow. In the next 10 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep this thing moving. Okay? Yeah, Drake Nevis was a good player too. I like that. It's true, Derek Stingley. Sting is definitely up there. I still think Perk's true freshman season was better. I do. Come after me all you want. Now, I'll touch on this because I actually got a message on Instagram from John. Shout out to John. He said he never comments, but he likes the NBA takes at the end. I'm always in the middle about sharing NBA takes because this is an LSU football channel. But Joker, what the heck was that? That shot. I mean, he did a freaking soccer throw in and it went in. But LeBron was great last night. I wish LeBron on that final drive would have thrown it to AD because he was open for three. And there's so much history behind Anthony Davis shooting a three versus Denver. That's been the biggest moment of his career when he hit that three versus the Nuggets in the bubble. But yeah, I think, God dog, freaking Nikola Jokic. Goodness gracious. I'm hoping for Jimmy Butler versus Jokic. So that would be freaking awesome. Now, let's see what else is going on in the world of LSU. Anything else? Obviously, the women's basketball roster is essentially set. Nothing really in Mulkey World. Nothing really outside of this big baseball game tomorrow. So obviously, you would like LSU to win a few games here to get a national seed. They are the number 3 team in the SEC, so that is a little, disheartening. So you would like to see, a win or two here in Hoover to lock up a super regional. Oh, that Wilt stat line? I'd have to go pull it up. I got you on the next live stream. Because anytime I go pull something up, I lose a ton of viewers. I don't know why. I think it's because they see my double chin when I look at another window. Hey, they're keeping it low key. I think you'll start seeing some right here on PH. I'm kidding. Billy, what's up, man? I love the national championship patch. I love this photo. Let's keep it going. Julie, thank you so much. I will share that in the Discord for just you, Julie. How about that? Appreciate you. Don't eat the Skyline chili. Safe travels. What's good to eat in Cleveland? What is good to eat in Cleveland? You guys are going to let me know. Gerald McCoy. I think we get a Gerald McCoy reference. So, Jordan, you get to pick the next topic. Go right on ahead. God, this has been such a great live stream. And Jason jumps in right when I say it to make it even better. To make it even better. You know, one thing I'll give you. I'll give you one quarterback, college quarterback, who I see on these greatest quarterback of all time list, and I think I saw he was number 11 on this list, and Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Was Trevor Lawrence a really good college quarterback? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is winning a national championship versus Alabama as a true freaking freshman very impressive? Yes. Did they need Trevor Lawrence to win the 2018 national championship? Yes, they needed him over Kelly Bryant. 2019 season, Trevor Lawrence had 2 games where he threw for over 300 yards. That same season, Joe Burrow only had 2 games where he was under 300 yards. You know, I just don't think Trevor is a top 10 college football quarterback of the modern era. Like, you know, I think pretty much most of the quarterbacks that actually won the Heisman were better than Trevor. And then there's some other guys mixed in there that I thought I would also put over Trevor. I would put obviously Vince Young over him. I would put Deshaun Watson over him. I would put, you know, I would honestly put Andrew Luck over him. I would put quite a few. And I know he won a natty. I know he started 3 years. He was a very good college quarterback. But you know, I don't know, and maybe some of it was play calling. Maybe some of it was ETN was so good and they just blew teams out, so they really didn't need him to throw. But you know, he played, you know, in an ACC that had down Florida State. Obviously, nothing he could really do about that. But I don't know. Is he a top 20 college quarterback of the modern era? Sure, but I see a lot of lists that put him up there. Professional quarterbacks, yeah, sure. He's definitely going to be one of the best, you know, NFL quarterbacks in the next 5 to 10 years. But yeah, you know, Tua is another guy. I would put Tua over Trevor as far as their college careers are concerned. So, even though obviously Trevor beat him, so I think he's a little overvalued. I do. North Carolina barbecue, baby. Let's go. I should fly over to go see William. I like it. Man, this is my favorite one of my favorite PHL photos. Guy got the whole family, got the pool, and it's not an above ground pool. I love it. You got the kiddo. Man, I just love it. I do. Love your family. I can't wait to come up there and meet you, William T. He is the official president of the Chad Jones fan club here on PHL. I guarantee you there's not a bigger Chad Jones fan than William. There's not. It doesn't exist. We talk about him every time we talk. Tua stayed hurt and folded. Folded in big games. True. Part of your ability is availability. But I can't say folded in big games. Honestly, you can't say that. I mean, even if he sucked in every big spot after the national championship game, as much as it makes my skin crawl, 2nd and 26 is like the opposite of folding in a big game. So name a big game he started and played well. All right. So obviously he sucked in the first half versus us. Obviously, off camera, Patrick Queen shared a few things with me from that Alabama game. Aranda just did a really good job versus him. Now, of course, the fumble in the first drive was entirely on Tua. But yeah, I think it had more to do with our defense. We just balled out in that first half. So yeah, Tua didn't have a good game versus us. I'll give you that in 2019. And they blew everybody else out, and then he got hurt. So you had the 2017 season. Then 2018, he had a good game versus Oklahoma in the playoff. But then, yeah, maybe the more I think about it, obviously Jalen saved the game versus Georgia in the SEC championship game. One of those years. I don't know. It's difficult. But my major point is I think Tua and Trevor Lawrence are on the same tier when it comes to college quarterbacks, right? Once again, I actually do put most of the Heisman winners over the non-Heisman winners. So, like, for instance, like Trevor was better than Jason White, Troy Smith, and those guys, but Tebow's better than Trevor, Vince Young's better than Trevor, Kyler's better than Trevor, Baker, Lamar. I think all of them are better than Trevor. Now, Deshaun is a little bit different. I think Deshaun's ahead of some of those Heisman guys. Like, I would put Deshaun over Mariota. I would. He literally folded. Trevor, good to see you. Man, I would freaking love some North Carolina barbecue. That sounds good right now. It really does. You put Deshaun over Matt Leinart. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Let's see. All right, let's pull this up. I'm gonna show some love to my friends at the Golden Boot. I love the Golden Boot. Let's see here. Put up Pooh Bear. His top 10 list. Okay. Okay, Joe number 1, I agree. Cam Newton number 2, I agree. Tim Tebow number 3. easier. Let's see. Tubo at 3 is fine. Vince at 4, fine. I just don't get I don't get the Trevor thing. I think RG3 over Trevor, Jameis over Trevor, Baker over Trevor. Yes, Lamar, Deshaun. I think those are right. I think Deshaun would, for me. I'm such a like college Watson was so freaking good. Obviously, if you want to factor in career just a little bit as well, so obviously that would knock Joe and Cam down if you did a whole career. If it's careers, it would be Baker, Tebow, Vince, Watson, Andrew Luck, Jameis, RG3, Mariota. It gets a little tricky. But if you want to talk just peaks, Joe, Cam, Tebow. One guy that has really natties matter. Lamar over Trevor. Lamar's definitely over Trevor. So Bill Connolly, who made the initial list, is based on career. So if it's based on career, that's fine. If it's based on career, then if you're talking about a cumulative career along with peaks, you mix those two together, Baker Mayfield and Tim Tebow lap everybody, right? Because they both played 4 years. Baker started 4 years. Tebow started 3 years and played a lot as a true freshman. So, those two are just going to lap everybody when it comes to career. And then Jameis, as far as careers, is definitely up there. Cam, Burrow, Young. Okay. I can get down with that. Look, if you want to put Cam over Joe, that's fine. I think that's fair. I do. Especially if you truly believe natties matter. One guy that I think is really underrated. How is Lamar over Trevor in college? Chiefs shut Lamar down. So yeah, it was Aranda that shut Lamar down, and we shut Trevor down too, in a bigger spot too. And Trevor had a better offensive line. Lamar's offensive line was hilariously bad that year. Let's see. If I did since 2010, that makes it a little easier. Since 2010, individual seasons since 2010. Let's make that a little bit easier. It would be Joe. Showing some love to the Golden Boot. Let's do this. Okay. Since 2010. Joe number 1, Cam Newton number 2, and then it's the battle for number 3. So that takes Tebow out of it. Number 3, let's go. I'm gonna go Deshaun 3, Lamar 4, and number 5 since 2010. I'm gonna go Kyler. If we're just doing individual seasons, okay. If you factor in careers, it's obviously a little bit different. So if we're doing total body of work since 2010, Baker would have to be number one. And then it would be Jameis and whoever else, Mariota, as far as like 2 seasons of elite play or better. Good on Kyler. Jim, welcome to the channel. Good to see you. Okay. No, it's all good. Javis shutting down Johnny Football was great. So careers, careers, it would be since 2010. It would be Baker, then freaking it would be Baker, then Watson, then probably Johnny Football. You know, I haven't mentioned Johnny Football just yet. Johnny was so good. Really was so good. I was at that game. My dad and I we had to go see Lamar, and God, Arden Key. That was such a great game. That was such a great game. What a performance! Guys running over their kicker. That was crazy. Everything about that game was crazy. James, good to see you. What's the limit on a fan? There is no limit. If you want to call Harold Perkins right now and say, hey, I want you to do a video about my San Marcos location. I want to give you $20,000 for it. You can do it. Cody B. Man, Dallas looks so nasty. Or what you could do, Cole. Okay. Get yourself some powerhourlsu.com/merch. You can support your boys. Name, image, and likeness. Look at that. Cole's living large, but who wouldn't want to be sipping some pina coladas in a PHL super soft shirt? There you go. powerhourlsu.com/merch. They both, I think they both left Johnny Football off the list. They did. They both left Johnny Football off the list. Johnny was a dude, man. Johnny was a dude. Geoff Wilson? Really? Dang, I missed out. I'm kidding. I'm fine with Jeff. I've never actually spoken to him before. But yeah, he's big time. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Cole. Support my name image like this. I may not run a 4.5, but I run a 4.5 in the 20. I can get that in the 20-yard dash. I don't know. Call him. I'm about to put his number right here in the chat. I want you to give him a call right now. I'll post it right now. Go ahead. All right, if y'all want to write it down right now. You would? Okay. So LSU Hyper Ninja 9. Write it down right now. 1-281-330-8004. Not 4, 4. Dial it right now. And there you go. Give it a ring. And whoever's on the other end of that line will give you a top 10 list, and he'll make it rhyme. Give it a call. Richard knows about that Mike Jones. Richard knows about that Mike Jones. So I have a buddy who writes for Saturday Down South, and he gets into it with LSU folks. He's gotten into it with me. He's gotten into it with Blake, honestly. His name is Vern Funquist. His name is Chris Marler, and he's a stand-up. He's based in Atlanta. And I actually wrote a joke earlier. And I posted on Twitter. And I used to be a joke writer, right? So I miss joke writing from time to time. And like what SEC Shorts and all those guys do, they're consistently funny. They're clean. They're good. They're really good. Sports comedy is hard. It's really hard. Really, really, really hard. But yeah, you know, one of y'all asked about it. I said I would push it a little bit later. Speeding is wild. Like, it is abso-freaking-lutely wild. Okay? Like, people, it's just crazy to me. Like, I don't know how, like, all this stuff happens. Like, you get in a car and you go over 100 miles per hour. That is just absolutely absurd to me. That is just crazy how fast that is. I don't know how to describe it, but I do think Kirby's going to kick this guy off the team. I do. Now, I don't know how fast this guy was going. I don't. It's not out. Coach 30 is great. It's so good. But yeah, it's nuts. Like, and here's the thing about speeding after what happened at Georgia. It's a very serious thing. Is after the Henry Ruggs thing happened to the Raiders, there was a defensive back for the Raiders who was clocked going 127 miles per hour or something like that a month after the Henry Ruggs thing happened. So people just love to speed. They just do. It's it's a rush, right? Tell me this. How many movie franchises do you know that has 10 chapters to it? Not many. But Vin Diesel, The Rock, Tyrese, Ludacris, they have made 10. 10. 10. 10 Fast and Furious movies. 10. 10. 10. Heck, they have cars carrying safes. Cars carrying helicopters. Gotta speed, though. You gotta speed. I going fast in a boat. Wow. Now, appreciate each and every one of you. Okay. It goes a long way. It really does. You guys helping make this channel what it is now. I'm very lucky to get to do this. I don't call it a job, but it is. And yeah, I'm very blessed. Very blessed. And it's because of you. It's because of you. Now, once again, I'm going to try, just depending on, how the travel works out. I'm going to try and go live on Friday night instead of Thursday night. But Thursday night, I will be unavailable. Okay. Wednesday or Thursday, though, we will have another video dropping. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. Don't forget, this video will be chaptered. I'll chapter it right after. So if you want to jump to any portion of the live stream, make sure you check out the chapters at the bottom. Once again, Jordan has been our top super chatter a few times, along with John Sibley, LA Mom. Look at Jordan, man. Really appreciate your generosity. Alan, thank you so much. And John Sibley. Alan, as of right now, I'm kind of liking the Florida over 5.5 win total. I think they're a 6-win team. That's just crazy to me. But they do have Florida State. They do have us. And they got a lot of tough games on their schedule. So they're like us. They play a difficult conference schedule. They have to go to Utah, first game of the season. So I get the 5.5 win total, but I think they get to 6-6. I do. Heading to the beach. Better send me some photos, man. I can see you on the beach with all those holding a cheesesteak. I see it. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! Oh, the Celtics won. How about that? Tatum 34, 11, and 7. How about that? They avoid the sweep. And tonight we are doing some Snoop Dogg pork chops. Let's